Today I'm here at the High Performer Building Innovation Hub, and they've drawn together here at the Hub a whole lot of elements that we need to construct our houses, but with a real focus on new ideas, smart thinking and innovation. The team at J&L Dukin have been part of that journey. So let's have a look at J-Frame and Triboard and how they can contribute to better housing. Lester, I'm going to describe you as the innovator-in-chief here at the High Performer Building Hub. So tell us what your role is.
Our role is to try and educate the industry that there are better innovations that you can collectively put together to actually build better buildings, but for the benefit of the occupant, the person making the mortgage for their life or paying the rent.
Right.
And so we've gathered innovation, combined it to deliver a better result.
So it is that sort of, the end result is the sum of its parts. So if we get better components, we'll end up with a better result?
Exactly. So if we start to look at the theory I have here is that if you add the new to the old, change will evolve.
Right.
So we're not here telling people build a house different.
Yep.
We're saying how do we take a frame and do a better frame?
Yeah.
How do we take insulation and deliver it better? How do we deliver a better result without actually changing the industry?
I would imagine that takes, to make change also requires a deep understanding of what we have done in the past. So recognising that, hey, this is timber framing, that's insulation that goes in, there's a window. These are all elements that we're used to working with.
Yep.
But the way in which we put them together and the products that we use, that can make quite a different outcome.
Absolutely.
Right.
So if we look at the downfall of the current way we put things together and say, well, how do we solve those problems? And so if we take J-frame,
Yep.
which is a key component, right? Now J-frame is strong and true and straight and it won't twist or warp. So therefore then we don't need knobs.
Right.
So then we can reduce thermal transfer and the bridging of a frame. And so then we think, well, if we look at what overseas do, they have rigid air barriers on the outside.
Yes.
So we think, right, if we take J-frame, which uses 95% of the tree, and then we take a rigid air barrier and we take a product made in New Zealand, which is made out of recycled milk cartons, 550 of these cartons, which currently are unrecyclable,
Yes.
and turned it into a rigid air barrier to brace the J-frame, we're actually making change in the industry.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've got to insulate it. So my point is, why wouldn't we not insulate it with a friction-free, non-compressible insulation made in New Zealand by Mammoth, which is using 15,600 recycled bottles every 100 square metres.
Yep.
So we still have a frame, we still have insulation, we still have a rigid air barrier, but by bringing those innovations together, we end up with just a truckload better result.
And there's a sense of comfort in that, in the sense that these are all elements that we're familiar with, right? We know about insulation, we know about framing, maybe we don't know that much about rigid air barrier, but the combination of them with some new thinking and some new theory around building envelopes, building performance, building science is going to get us a better result.
When we start to add the science to the delivered message, we actually can deliver a better result. We can expand this frame to actually become even higher performing by putting all our services inside an internal cavity. Then adding more insulation, we can end up with a 90mm frame delivering over 3.4 R rating for the cost of a batten, which has been replaced in oak. So to me, it's a no-brainer.
One of the other interesting changes, and you just drive around any of our main centres, and what you'll see is houses that are joined together, right? We're building semi-detached now. So here we're seeing Triboard as part of an intertenancy solution.
Absolutely.
And obviously this is all tested, it meets all of the requirements of the building code.
All that.
Yep.
So the exciting thing that when we saw that innovation from J&L, we thought, whoa. And then when we put an interior lining on here, why not look at Triboard as an interior lining? So when you start thinking what J&L are done and about to do, we're starting with a better frame, better wall lining, an intertenancy wall, but we're doing nothing different. We're actually just adding the new to the old.
So then I wonder, and I can sense for you the passion you have for this. At a time where you could put your slippers on, play golf and that sort of thing. What drives you to do this?
What drives me to do this is that my grandkids are not going to be able to afford a house in this country if we carry on in the direction we're going. If we end up in the build-to-rent market, they've also got to be able to afford something to rent.
Sure.
So we have to start focusing on construction that delivers the benefit for mum and dad living in it, not just the developer. So how do we actually bring technologies together which actually is affordable and benefit of the user.
Yep.
And so we start to look at time. So, we're standing up 2-story balloon frames, doing this sort of technology all the way through, and putting roofs on terraced houses in 4 days with 4 men.
Yeah.
That is a game changer. Our main market is for the developers, the people who wake up in the mornings, I'm going to build a building. So we focus on architects, developers, and by invitation, we'll bring in the consumer or the person who wants to learn more about it, because it's instead of driving all around Auckland trying to see innovation, we have actually brought it into one spot.
Yeah.
And so we've opened up the hub to the industry as well to educate the industry. And we're not here to sell anything. So people say, well, how does this work?
Yeah.
So we've just gathered innovation and brought it together. We all contribute to the cost of the rent and the message, and we deliver a message which hope will make change for the future.
Fantastic message.